Welcome to Inside Lake Forest. I'm Eileen Weber, your host, and today I have the pleasure of visiting with Lake Forest Open Lands Association, which is the forever business in preserving this beautiful space. We're just off Waukegan Road at Melody Farm. Let's step inside these beautiful gates. Hi, John.
Hi, Eileen. How are you?
I am great. Thanks so much for having me here
Sure.
today.
Welcome to Lake Forest Open Lands. Glad to
Thank
have you.
So where are we standing right now, John?
We are at Melody Farm Nature Preserve, and this is Lake Forest Open Lands Conservation Campus. And what you have around you is the old gatehouse and wash house to the Armour Estate. And this is an historic structure, and this used to run all the way from here, all the way across the railroad tracks to the Lake Forest Academy, which was once the Armour Estate
Wow.
home.
It's amazing to think that this once in history was 1,000 acres, and this was just a small piece of it right here.
What's remarkable about Lake Forest Open Lands and about these kinds of properties is they have not only historic qualities to them, but they actually have natural qualities which are saved, and they're open space for the people, so they serve several purposes, and it's really Lake Forest history and our natural history as well.
Yeah, well, what I'd love to learn more about is let's start with just the history of the organization and how it came to be.
Absolutely. Lake Forest Open Lands, I always like to start by giving credit to the founders of the organization. Over 50 years ago, we had some very visionary people who realized that Lake Forest's open spaces could disappear. Open spaces that are historic but also of great natural value. So they started an organization by saving really a piece of property from development on Green Bay Road.
Okay.
And the rest is history, and they over the years have preserved and now manage over 800 acres of open space, from savannas to prairies, wetlands, ravines, and it's really one of the things that defines Lake Forest.
It's hard to believe that Lake Forest in itself has so many natural areas that vary between, like you said, the lake, the bluffs, the ravines, the prairie.
You bring up a great point, and Lake Forest Open Lands is almost 50 years old now, and where we stand today, not only from the beauty of it, but our community is really unique in North America. Like you say, we almost live in a national park. It's not just the beauty, but it's the environmental value and the conservation value of the places that we all enjoy and take for granted every day.
Oh my gosh. Now, John, you're the president of Open Lands.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit of the personal side of how you got involved with this organization.
Well, I'm so fortunate and privileged to be president of Lake Forest Open Lands, and I have the best commute in the neighborhood. For years I've been a conservationist, but I started when we moved to Lake Forest years ago. I started first as a volunteer in the associate board and moved to become a board member, and then ran another conservation organization. But after 15 years, the opportunity to join this organization full-time on staff came open, and I was so lucky to have it. And I'm just thrilled to be here, not just because of the terrific staff we have, but we have an extremely dedicated board of directors. And I'm just very happy to work here.
Now, one of the things I wanted us to talk about is how people can get involved. As you said, the volunteers are really the heart of this organization, and that's how you began here.
Absolutely. Volunteers are our lifeblood, and there's so many ways for people to get involved. Education, land management, monitoring. We have volunteers of all ages, from high school to senior citizens, and there's myriad opportunities, and they all make a difference. So there's something for everybody here. If you want to be a frog monitor, or if you want to cut buckthorn, or if you want to read a book to a child, we have an opportunity for you, and it all makes a real difference in our community.
And where do people find out information about volunteering? Would it be on the website or
you can
calling?
Be on the website, or you can call our office, and we'll have you connected with a couple of our staff members who can get you right to the volunteers.
Perfect. Now let's talk about some of the activities that you have going on here. I believe you have summer camps. Maybe we'll start there.
Our education program at Lake Forest Open Lands is very robust. Over the last 50 years, we've educated well over 50,000 children. We not only have school programs, every child in our Lake Forest area goes through our public school programs, but more importantly, we do indeed have summer camps. So we have summer camps from kindergarten all the way to middle school, and we have camps that are here on the property. We call this our conservation campus, and elsewhere. We have Bagpipes and Bonfire, of course, is our signature event, which comes annually every September.
Wonderful.
And it's become sort of a family ritual for people in town to come and look at the beautiful vistas off the savannah and enjoy a bonfire and a time together. And we have many other activities, including individual programming, adult programming, as well as annual and periodic events.
I know you have a native plant sale in the spring, and that happens right here, so people can come come and purchase plants, and I believe the proceeds go to Open Lands. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you for bringing
Great.
that up. And native plants is really an important part of our mission. We want to make sure that native plants go out to the community. In fact, where we're standing is really an example of our native regreening efforts in the community. One of the things we want to make sure is that as we lose ash trees through the emerald ash borer, that our community is regreened appropriately. And this place right here is a great example of how you can do native planting in your own backyard. Many of the homes in our community are very formal homes, Italian Renaissance homes, and so people think that native landscaping may not be appropriate for them. But this building, we're showing how, through a program with Mariani Landscaping, how native landscaping can accent your very formalized garden and be the right thing to do. So anybody's welcome to come here, see what we're doing, get ideas, and that's one neat thing about this campus right here.
Well, let's take a look at this briefly and just see some of the different spots and some of the native
Absolutely.
plantings. So John, looking at this space here, it looks like, working with Mariani, they've developed almost like this little mini botanic garden formal setting here.
That's a great way to describe it, and this is brand new, phase one of our native restoration here at our Eldridge classroom at Melody Farm. And over the course of time, people are going to be able to come here and see how a natural native landscaping can look just as beautiful as their manicured landscape at home and be good for the environment. So we're very proud of how this is taking off. And I like to say that right here where we're standing with these chairs is one of the best places to stand and read a book in Lake Forest. You can come here late in the day and you look out to the west and watch the sunset, and there's not many vistas like this. And I suspect that this vista is very much like it was, 50 to 100 years ago. So we're trying to make this all natural. So
Neat.
This campus really is, when we talk about a conservation campus, it's really an education campus that there's something for everybody here. This campus has wetlands, it has rivers, it has savanna, it has prairie. It's for young people, it's for old people. There's everything here. There's restoration going on, as well as areas that have been very well preserved, not to mention the history of the Armour Estate. So this is really a very special place for Lake Forest.
Well, let's talk about some of the other areas in town that is encompassed by open lands. Can you mention some of those?
Absolutely. Right now, Lake Forest Open Lands manages well over 800 acres in our town.
Okay.
And we have 6 preserves open year-round to the public, 365 days a year, dawn to dusk. Some of those are our West Skokie Nature Preserve in the center of town, Everett Preserve, which is on the west side of town, not to mention Open Lands Park, which is a nice place right in the center of town where you can just go and relax. So we have over 12 miles of hiking trails for the community, and we hopefully will have more preserves in the near term. We've got some ideas and we're always working.
Neat. That's very, very, very cool. And what's also neat, John, you mentioned to me earlier that everything here is privately funded as well through donation.
Yes.
So if you could speak a little bit to that to let our viewers know.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Lake Forest Open Lands is one of the most cherished institutions in our town. What I think is most remarkable is that everything is done independently. We receive no tax dollars from the city or from the state. It's all done through the private contributions and donations of our members and donors. And what's interesting is that every dollar that's contributed to Lake Forest Open Lands goes right back into our community, into preserving our property and restoring our community and educating our children. There's not many conservation organizations that can say that, so we're very proud of that.
And so really it's time, energy, and effort that through volunteerism and the monetary donations that really goes into making this and our community the special place that it is. Absolutely.
Lake Forest Open Lands is not owned by Lake Forest Open Lands per se, it's owned by the community, and the generosity of our community is what gives us these wonderful places. And so, it's just a remarkable institution, and the history is just incredible.
Very cool. So John, if you could really sum up Lake Forest Open Lands in a motto or kind of where you see it, could you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, I would say from a business perspective, I believe, and I think Lake Forest Open Lands' mission has always been that we only accomplish great things through partnership. It's all about partnership. To get things done today in the conservation world, you need to be partnering with the Lake County Forest Preserve, our city, local neighbors. We're all about partnership. From a long-term standpoint, I really believe that Lake Forest Open Lands is in the forever business. What we do is permanent, and we have to think of the very long term. These lands can never go away, and so we're always thinking of how can we protect these forever. And that's a very daunting task, but it's something we're committed to. And I would just say, personally, a personal motto of mine might be, I always like to tell people, see it on the trail. Because I think that's a nice way to encourage people, come on, get out, enjoy Lake Forest Openlands for the beauty, for the recreation, for your family. It's really there for everybody.
Very cool. Well, John, it has been such a pleasure.
Thank you very much, and we hope to see you again here.
Yes, you absolutely will. I've learned so much of some history and really just the depth knowledge of the organization, and it's something, as you said, for everyone. So I look forward to being back.
Great, and bring this weather with you next time.
I will. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching Inside Lake Forest. As you know, I've been here at the Lake Forest Open Lands. It's a beautiful place. I hope you take the opportunity to come, visit, and we'll see you on the trail.